Hello, my name is Tara, and I am with Tara's Mental Calibration. That is me. And I'm going to go ahead and get through the disclaimers, which is trigger warning. I may speak about things that you don't find comfortable. Feel free to turn off the podcast and listen to it when you're ready, or you can just turn it off if it makes you too uncomfortable. The other part is I am not a medical professional. I am currently in trauma therapy. Anything and everything I talk about is with my current experience of how I am going through it. Everybody goes through their own thing, how they go through it. So I'm just here to talk about mine. All right. So let me tell you what happened. This one is about accepting compliments. I did not realize how bad it was for me when it came to receiving compliments. I recently made just some simple fleece, no sewing, not blankets. It wasn't too hard to do. I tend to talk down. I kind of play things down when I do something nice. And I really didn't realize how much I do that until I called the VA medical center to ask them how I could donate my blankets to veterans that were going through chemo or dialysis. And the lady who answered the phone, she was like, VA Medical Center, how can I direct your call? And I told her what I was looking for, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you made them yourself?" And I was like, "Well, I put them together." Like when I think about somebody who made something, this is how it's kind of fucked up, right? So when I create something, I do painting, I do jewelry making, I do all this stuff. When somebody asks me, "Did you make that?" My answer is always, "I put it together." Because if I made it, I would have made the materials. So I really look at it like, did I make this fleece? No, I did not make it. I did not handcraft it myself. I just put it together and knotted it up and made a whole different thing out of it. And this is how critical I am of myself. Like if somebody asks me, did you paint that? Or, did you make that painting? I know that that's not really the right verbiage of what you would ask, but it is the point of, if somebody were to ask me, did you make that painting? My answer would be no. I put the paints together to create a picture. That is how crazy my mind gets when it comes to receiving compliments. It's like I have the fraudulent syndrome. I don't remember what they call it. Imposter syndrome, where it's like, I really didn't do that, or it's really not a big deal. So it's like, if somebody looks at a bracelet that I made and they're like, did you make that bracelet? I put it together. I did not make the crystals. I did not make the beads. I just put it together. So that is how harsh I am in my mind to myself. And it made me reflect back as to, okay, when did that mindset start? And let me go ahead and get back with the compliment thing first before I get too far ahead, because this is actually a lot to cover. So when I was talking to the lady from the VA, she was like, "Oh, you made these blankets. That was really nice of you to do." And I could tell that she was being genuine. I could really tell she was being genuine and telling me that it was really nice of me to do it and it was really sweet. And all of a sudden, I felt my stomach knot up. I felt my throat close up, and I started to panic. And I didn't understand what it was from. I didn't understand where it was coming from. So then after that, she transferred me to the volunteer department, and I explained to the person what I wanted to donate, and that I made the blankets, or I created them, put them together, whatever you want to say. And she gave me a compliment too. And she was like, that is really great because we can use those types of blankets here at the VA for people who are going through chemo and also dialysis because they get really cold when they are going through the process. And so she went on to compliment me even more and just just like keep it in mind that these two ladies did not go overboard with the compliments. You know, like they each gave me a compliment and it was just that, but my mind took it like I was accepting something that I was not deserving of. And so once I got off the phone, I started crying hard. Like there was something inside of me that just crashed and I am angels agree. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where that came from. I did Google it um to see if it was common for that to happen out of getting just a simple compliment, and what it came up with is crying after a simple compliment is very common with complex PTSD. Your nervous system may have reacted to an unexpected positive attention as a threat, or the kindness touched a deep place of past emotional neglect. Now, I am a very giving person. More often than not, I didn't realize it until yesterday that when I do something extra for people, like if they're being nice to me, I will do something nice for them and I make it transactional. Like I owe them something. Like if I give you a present and you say thank you, this was really nice. This is awesome. I'm going to give you something for that compliment, even if it's something small, because I feel like I have to pay you for telling me that, you know, because I actually don't believe it. And it's like I'm paying for a service in a way. So I'm not really sure where that started at in my childhood on receiving compliments. I just know that I was raised in an environment where no matter what I did, it just wasn't a big deal. And because it wasn't a big deal, I tried harder. And the compliments were very scarce. Like if I went above and beyond on something, it's like, oh yeah, you didn't do anything that nobody else would have done. Like it just really wasn't a big deal and it was really downplayed. And I noticed that I do that to myself as an adult. So the other part that Google told me was unfamiliar safety. Kind words can feel strange if you grew up or lived in harsh places. And I never really looked at how I was raised as being harsh. But if somebody else were to tell me they were raised the same way I was, I would think it was pretty fucking harsh. But it's funny how I don't see that within myself. And it's probably because I lived it and I'm still here and I'm alive and I'm blessed. I am extremely blessed. I have a lot of trauma, but I'm extremely blessed, you know? So it's kind of hard for me to look at it like it was harsh, even though it really was. Um, it's emotional release, giving gifts to veterans is a kind act. Hearing praise can release heavy hidden pain. I know that I was a child who always tried to get praise from my parents. Whether it was grades, whether it was doing something for them, being there for them. Same thing when it came to my siblings. I was also known as I was known as the outspoken one, but at the same time, even if I was mad at you, I was known to be like, you know what? I'm going to give you a gift package, but don't you think for a fucking second that I'm not mad at you. You know, I was the type of person who was like, I love you, but I certainly don't like you right now. And and I still do that actually. Um, I haven't done the care package thing, but I still have the same attitude of I love you, but I just really don't like you and I hate your morals, that type of thing. Um, but like hearing praise, I really think it did release some kind of memory. Um, the other part says shifting guards. Your brain works hard to protect you. A compliment lowers your guard fast, which can feel overwhelming. And I believe that as well. Um, I wasn't expecting the compliments. I was really calling in just to get information, right? So it's like getting the information was just my goal. I really just thought I was going to get on the phone, get the information I need, and get right back off. I wasn't expecting anybody to give me praise for anything I was doing. And I certainly didn't expect the reaction that my body gave. I mean, I cried so hard, I felt like somebody was ripping something out of my stomach. I am surprised I didn't get sick. I'm surprised I didn't get nauseous. And, you know, I ugly cried. And I did it for several minutes. I mean, this probably lasted maybe 15, 20 minutes of me just literally deep crying over these compliments. And like I said, they weren't anything that was over the top. It was just two compliments from two different ladies, and they were basic compliments and they meant them, you know? And I just felt like such a fraud. I felt like such a fraud because like when she said you made these blankets, like I really focused on that. It's like, no, I just put them together. But it's like when you create something, you're just putting a bunch of ingredients together and you're creating something else. So in that essence, yes, I made them, so it's just like, it really fucked with my mind that they just kept saying you made these blankets. And I didn't even look at it like that. And I don't look at it like that for anything I do. It's just like I took two ingredients and put them together. I took three ingredients and put them together. Like when it comes to my bracelets, I took one, two, three, four ingredients and put them together. Like it just, I didn't, I know I need to work on changing that kind of mindset. And angels agree again. I need to learn how to take a compliment. I can take compliments for people like online because I feel like when it's a compliment that I feel like somebody is giving me just because they're trying to be polite or just because they're trying to be nice, it's like I can accept those a lot better. Or if I kind of see it coming that I'm going to get a compliment, I can be prepared for it. And I have a guard that goes up so that way it doesn't connect to my heart. And, just saying that, it makes me wonder why I wouldn't want to connect to it with my heart. I don't really have a memory that I can connect with what I'm about to say, but I'm wondering if there was something that happened at some point where somebody gave me a compliment and I believed them and then they talked bad about me and it's like, okay, they lied to me. Or I know that happens a lot in my family where people they can sit there and smile in each other's faces, but they talk about each other like dogs, you know, even though it's like they can take a picture and look like they're being happy and be happy with each other. But then as soon as the other person leaves, it's like, oh my gosh, they were getting on my nerves and da 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 da. And it's like, well, why didn't you just tell them that? And I was that person in my family, like, why don't you just tell them face to face of what you feel or what you think? And, it just makes me wonder if it comes from there of why I don't believe people. Because if you can't believe your family, especially from a young age, right? If you can't believe your family, who can you believe? And so, of course, it's going to fuck with how you trust people. And another thing I've been trying to work on is I have quit saying I have trust issues. I don't have trust issues. I trust people. It's just that I've been lied to. So that's not really an issue to stand up for yourself and say, hey, that was a lie and I don't trust you. That is not an issue. That is what you're supposed to do. That is absolutely what you're supposed to do. I'm not trying to turn this about lies, but it's just a whole point of, like really looking at certain things. And when, when I asked this of Google, it went on to ask me, or wanted me to remember. I came up with a little section that says what to remember. Your tears do not mean you did something wrong. It is a normal sign of deep healing and old hurt meeting new kindness. You did a wonderful thing by making those blankets. And even just reading that was hard for me to read it just now. I want to tear up again. It was really hard for me to even read that now. And I know that this is going to be the next thing that I try to tackle and try to, figure out. It went on to ask me, would you like to talk about how to care for yourself after a strong emotional trigger like this? And I said, yes. And it said, physiological sigh. Take 2 quick, sharp breaths in through your nose, then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. And repeat this 3 times to rapidly lower your heart rate. So if you ever go through anything like this, or if anxiety ever pops up, if you have PTSD or CPTSD, maybe these things can help you as well. A warm compress. Place a warm if I can read. Place a warm, damp washcloth over your eyes or around the back of your neck to stimulate the vagus nerve and promotes relaxation. And I didn't do that. I did the deep breathing one, but I didn't do the whole warm compress thing. Soul support. I do this often. I do this a lot, even though I don't mean to. But when I go through anxiety, I take off my shoes and I either stand on some cold tile in the house or go outside and stand on the cement. So soul support. Press your bare feet firmly into the floor and notice the exact texture and temperature of the ground beneath you. Another one is gentle touch. Place your hand over your heart and the other over your stomach, feeling the natural rise and fall of your breath without trying to change it. And it asked me if I was going to be interacting further with the people who gave me compliments. And I said yes, because I still had to drop off the blankets, man, which I did that yesterday. And I did follow the advice that it gave of when you're dealing with somebody in person, you can make it quick. Like, you don't have to be rude about it or anything, but you can just say thank you and leave and then deal with your it's not saying to not deal with your feelings. It's just that you're postponing dealing with your feelings until you're done with the interaction. So it's a little bit of healthy dissociation just so you can kind of get through it. It was a little bit of a white knuckle experience, but at the same time, I was able to do it. But it said, script your response. Decide on a short automatic phrase ahead of time to use if someone compliments you, such as thank you, I appreciate that, and immediately pivot the conversation. Talk about avoidance. Talk about avoidance. But at the same time, it's better than losing your shit in front of a person, because I think that's, at least for me, it's worse to be that vulnerable with a stranger. I don't like losing my shit in front of people, even if I know you. So it's really hard to deal with. So the other one is focus on an object. Shift the attention away from yourself by talking about the task, like saying, I just hope the veterans find the blankets helpful, or I hope they find them warm, So I know that I do that a lot. If somebody compliments me, I will compliment you right back, and I will pick out something to focus on. Like, Like if somebody compliments me on my hair, I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Oh my gosh, what kind of I love your nail polish. What color is it? What exact color is it called?" And and I really don't care what exact color is called. I don't even care where you got it. But guess what? I'm going to ask you about it because I am trying to avert the attention away from myself. So, and then as soon as you tell me, I'm going to forget because I really don't care. And that's awful, but it's my way of avoiding the feeling of getting a compliment. And the other part says you can shift your attention away from yourself by talking about the task, like okay, yeah, like saying that the veterans find the blankets warm. The other part says pre-ground your senses. Right before you walk into an office or make a phone call, touch a textured object in your pocket like a smooth stone or a piece of fabric to keep your mind anchored in the present. And I do that a lot too. I will get the corner of my shirt and I tickle my palm with it. When I get uncomfortable or if I get too tired, I will do that. I've done that since I was a child. It's a form of stimming for me, and it takes me out of the moment of being uncomfortable into comfort. Like I find it comforting. I don't know why tickling the palm of my hand gives me comfort. It just does. I'm just kind of ass backwards like that. So then it said, plan a quick exit. Give yourself permission to leave or end the call early by having a polite excuse ready, such as, thank you so much. I have an appointment to get to now. So, I actually went in there right before my husband's appointment. My husband actually did have an appointment, so I really did have to make it quick. So I was glad that, you know, I was able to go up there, and it also helped that my husband stood right there, but he kind of stood to the back and not to the back, but he kind of stood to the side and he let me feel all of this. Even though he knew I was going through what I was going through, he let me feel all of this, and he we really did have to get to his appointment, so it was a good, quick, easy exit for me. But now I get to dive into it more as to why it is so hard for me to receive a compliment. And I think I've touched the tip of the iceberg, but we'll see what else is underneath there as time goes on. So as I find out, I will let you guys know. So that's going to be it for today's podcast. If you have anything to say about this podcast or any other podcast, or if you have any ideas, any suggestions, please email me at terrasmentalcalibration@gmail.com. All one word, no spaces. So, okay. I'm sending you a bunch of love and light. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.